Welcome back to Mock Draft Madness, day 34 of doing a mock draft every single day until the NFL draft on April 25th. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know in the comments your favorite and least favorite pick from this mock draft, as well as trade scenarios. I have a trade that I'm going to try out today. Shout out Carlos. He was the one that left that. I'll probably do our standard trades today. Yesterday was a little bit different. I had, Minnesota moving back, recouping some picks, but also taking, Penix at 23, I believe it was. So let's get right into it. Bears, going to go Caleb Williams here. After the stuff I've kind of been hearing today and just yesterday, it really seems like Jaden Daniels might be going at 2. Now, who knows if that's just smoke? I don't necessarily know why there necessarily need to be smoke, because everyone knows what's going on at 1. So I guess with 2, you kind of control the draft. So unless the Commanders are planning on trading back 1 spot or something like that, I kind of expect Jaden Daniels to be a Commander at this pace. At number 3, we have the not Minnesota Vikings, New England Patriots. I'm going to have them taking Drake May, and then I'm going to have the Arizona Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe tomorrow I'll try a trade kind of with, Drake May, or Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Patriots. But for now, what I'm going to do is I am going to have the Chargers trade back with the Minnesota Vikings. I think it'll take this, maybe a first, and then we'll just do a third next year. We're going to force that trade through. Vikings are on the clock. They're going to take J.J. McCarthy. And then at 6, we're going to go Malik Neighbors to the Giants. So first 6 picks are off the draft. That puts Denver and Las Vegas in interesting positions because they do not have a chance to get one of the top 4 quarterbacks. Tennessee, I feel like it's pretty obvious that they're going to go with Joe Alt as a tackle. And with the way that they have built their team, I don't really see them as a very big trade out candidate. I don't see them trading really past maybe 12. And if these top 4 quarterbacks are gone, I don't know if there's going to be really any rush to trade up, unless they're trying to get a guy like a Romo Dunze. But if you're trying to get Joe Alt, I don't know if you can really make it past 9, because I think the Bears would take him if all 3 receivers are off the board. So I think the simple pick here is going to be, Rome or Joe Alt. I think it is also a, scenario where maybe they want to go with Fuaga. I think the reality is Joe Alt is probably the guy they're going to lean. And I've had them going Alt almost every time, but they do need help at both right and left tackle. So let's just say they are going to go Fuaga here. I think if Alt's on the board, that's where they're going to go. I just have every mock Joe Alt going to the Tennessee Titans. At number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons, which leaves them in an interesting position, because there's also a scenario where the Falcons may not even draft here, and because I don't know what their edge board looks like, okay? I wonder if they are open to any of these edges and are willing to trade down. But in this case scenario, I am going to have them, I believe I'm probably going to have them take, an edge. Or what we can do is, well, no, that doesn't really work. Rashawn Slater's playing left. I was going to say maybe the Chargers can trade up. We can manipulate the board a little bit like that. With the Falcons here, I think it's probably, like I said, going to be D-line. I lean edge, but they could really go anywhere, honestly. I just, in the 4-3 scheme, or the 3-4 scheme, you could get I don't know. Maybe we go, I want to switch it up. Let's go Byron Murphy here. I know they're most likely going to go edge, but let's say they go with an interior player. At number 9, that leaves the Bears with a multitude of options here, which is probably the best board that the Bears could hope for. I think if you're going to look towards the future, Rome is going to be your pick, which honestly leaves the Jets in an amazing position because they can take Joe Alt. I don't know if they need a tackle, and I think they will take Alt if he is here because they are trying to win, in these next 2 years. And the reality is that they need to take the best player available, but at the same time, if you look at it and need a player that's going to make an impact today, because you already have Morgan Moses this year, you already have Tyron Smith, do you go with a receiver like a Brock Bowers? And I think that is possible. I think it is possible. And do I think Joe Alt falls out of the top 10? No. But it's day 33 or day 34 of Mock Draft Madness, and we've done 34 mocks in a row. So I'm going to have Joe Alt for the first time fall out of the top 10, and I'm going to have the... Oh, no. Hold on. My plan is kind of falling apart as I'm about to make the move. So what I'm thinking here is maybe we have the Jets. They would have to take Brock Bowers here, right? They'd have to take Brock Bowers here. There's no way that... I mean, they could trade back for sure. Or you know what? No, we could do... I think if we want to look at the Jets' offensive line, if we're able to take a guy like a Troy Fautanu, would he compete with John Simpson for the left guard spot? And then he could play really any position, based on if there's injuries to that O-line. I think in terms of, I don't know. Maybe they do trade back then. Because if I'm thinking about it, they could recoup a second-round pick. Let's see. Yeah, let's go. I don't know, guys. This is tough. Yeah, let's just do that. That's what I was going to do. So let's do the Cowboys trading up. Let's give them our second. And then to move up to 24, it'll probably be a second next year. So let's force that trade through. So the Cowboys are on the clock, and they are taking Joe Alt. So the whole plan was to have the Cowboys trade up. And Joe Alt actually didn't fall out of the top 10. But was for the Cowboys to trade up and get Joe Alt. I was trying to find a scenario where the Jets stay there and pick. The Chargers can take Brock Bowers. And then the Broncos would trade back with the Cowboys. But the more and more I was playing this scenario out in my head, the more and more it just wasn't really working. So, I wanted to switch that up. So now with the Broncos on the clock here, I struggle picking for them, but if you want to go with probably one of the best outside linebackers and edges, I keep showing you all our comments on the video. I think let's go with Dallas Turner here. Outside linebacker, edge, OLB in that 3-4 system. At number 13, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. I think it is possible that they stick and pick here and take probably one of the best corners in the class. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't really think they're going to take like a tackle here. And, I don't know if they're going to grab Penix. They have 44 where they could grab Penix. I wonder if there's a team that's willing to trade up here and grab one of these guys. I think, one of these teams may be aggressive in grabbing like one of the last, interior players or one of these edge players. They're sitting on the board though at 13, and I'm trying to get creative in terms of a way that they can trade back and we can have them use their recouped second to trade into the back of the first round and grab Penix, but I don't know if that's really worth it because they can probably get him at 44. So I think though, because you got to think about the quarterback needy teams right now. We have the Giants, who are somewhat needy. We have the Broncos. We have the Raiders. Seattle, even to an extent. And, that's really about it. So I think you're probably good between those three teams because it's going to be a battle for Penix Nicks between those three teams. So maybe it's probably best to stick and pick here. So I'm just going to give him I'm going to give him Quinyon Mitchell this time around out of Toledo. It's usually a corner here, but I could also see them going right tackle. I had them going yesterday. 14 with the New Orleans Saints. I think, tackle could be a area of need. I am going to give them Laiatu Latu out of UCLA, probably one of the, most polished pass rushers in the class. At number 15, we have the Indianapolis Colts. I think if Terran Arnold is here, I think that'll be good. What I like, though, is I'm going to mix it up a little bit and give them Brian Thomas Jr., someone to pair with Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs. At number 16, we have the Seattle Seahawks. If Troy Fautanu falls right into their lap, I find it very hard for them to pass on him. Somebody that has true 5-position versatility on that offensive line, and that's definitely something they need. Jacksonville Jaguars desperately need a corner more than they need D-line help, so I am going to give them Terrion Arnold. At number 18, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. So they could go Jerzon Newton. They could go Jared Verse. I think adding a receiver isn't completely out of the question because, you're going to lose T. Higgins. So maybe we can find, maybe there's like a guy, maybe there's a team that might want to move up here. That isn't too far away. So let's see. Okay, so we have Jerzon Newton sitting here. I think either of these teams could go defensive interior. The Jets are not going to go defensive interior. The Chargers could. I don't think they'd make this trade necessarily because maybe Brian Thomas Jr. is off the board. But maybe the Bills get a little bit impatient and they trade up to go and get a receiver because their room is not horrible, but it's also not amazing. So we're going to give them maybe a second next year. They give us their fourth, and we give them like 128. I don't know if that's enough to move up 10 spots, but we're going to force that trade through. Buffalo Bills on the clock. They're going to be taking Adonai Mitchell. out of Texas. At number 19, we have the Los Angeles Rams here. They need defensive interior. They just need D-line help in general. But I also think it's a reality that you can draft a guy in Olu Fashanu who can be your left tackle of the future. You have Alaric Jackson. He's 25. You have Rob Harvenstein, who's 31. You want to get some youth in there. You have your interior figured out for the most part. Well, you do have your interior figured out. I think, it's really hard to pass up a guy like an Olu Fashanu at 19. At number 20, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think, the idea of pairing J.C. Latham with Broderick Jones is nice. I also think you can pair Amarius Mims there, give him some time to develop. Corner, I don't think is out of the question. Interior O-line, I don't think is out of the question. But I'm going to give them J.C. Latham. At number 21, we have the Miami Dolphins. They are in an interesting spot here because they need defensive interior. They could also grab a guy like Amarius Mims, but with Jerzon Newton sitting on the board, it kind of becomes hard to pass up. At number 22, I've had them going Cooper DeJean quite a bit. I want to mix it up a little. Let's go back to Guyton, a guy that can learn behind Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata. 23 to the Los Angeles Chargers. They are definitely going to be looking for O-line here, especially going pass catcher early. You have Zion Johnson, Jeremy Slater, he's okay. Corey Linsley, he's getting a little bit up there. I think if you're going to look at a football player that is truly just a football player, Jackson Powers Johnson, I know that sounded really generic, but he seems to me like the type of player that Jim Harbaugh wants. So now we have an interesting decision to make because I do think the Jets probably will go with a tackle here because they can get a wide receiver now with their second round pick. You could go Amarius Mims and he could fill in for Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses when they get hurt, and that's probably going to happen throughout the year because he can play either spot. Or you can go with a guy with Graham Barton who plays all five positions, can play the interior, can beat you're going to have a top 6 O-line right there. You get your top 6. John Simpson can be the backup. AVT when he's hurt. Like, Graham Barton gives you more options. I think the upside is there with Amarius Mims more, though, and I think it'll be nice to see him be able to learn from Tyron Smith. This one is tough because if you're trying to win in the next 2 years, Graham Barton is probably the safer option. So that is what I'm going to go with. At number 25, we have the Green Bay Packers. I am going to give them Cooper DeJean. Well, I love the idea of Cooper DeJean, but if a guy like Amarius Mims is there, it might be very hard to pass on him. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give them Amarius Mims. I've never had them going Amarius Mims. I think it is an interesting fit for them. Someone who can play in place of Rasheed Walker. I hope I didn't butcher, or not butcher, but I think I got his right next. Yeah. Rasheed Walker. Okay, yeah. Rasheed Walker. He can fill in for Zach Tom if he's ever injured. You can really develop him. And with the way the Packers develop their trenches, I know you can say, well, they're not going to draft him in the first round. They can develop a guy in the third. But like with the traits that Amarius Mims has and the size and speed that he has, if that room is able to develop him, you're talking top 5, maybe tackle in the league. Like, you may have that guy. And after losing Bakhtiari, you can find his replacement in Amarius Mims if you develop him correctly. At number 26, I think if Jared Verse is there, that's an easy take for the Buccaneers. Looking at the Arizona Cardinals depth chart, we took Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you have Jalen Thompson, and you have Budda Baker. You signed Sean Murphy-Bunting. I think if Cooper DeJean is here and you can pair him, you can play him at safety, you can play him at corner. I think that is a very versatile DB room than you kind of have with the Cardinals. You're giving it a little bit more pedigree. At number 28, to the Cincinnati Bengals. They are on the clock and kind of in no man's land, unfortunately. You have, you pick at 49, so you may be able to grab a receiver there. I don't necessarily love the tackles that are available to me at this point. You don't really need to go corner at this point either, even though that's like the strength of the board. I think you can add a guy on that defensive line as well. And kind of my plan for this situation here would be, you can't. I think you have to go receiver. But with 49, I think you can get... So I think wide receiver is a little bit more pressing. But I like the idea of, if you can, this is only a one-round mock, but if you can, going with a guy like a Chop Robinson here, and then using 49 or moving up a little bit to go get a guy like a Keon Coleman. I think that would be a very interesting fit for the Cincinnati Bengals. I actually think that would be really, really nice. Unfortunately, we cannot... For the sake of the mock, though, I kind of want to go Keon here. But the idea that I don't think Chop is going to be there at pick 49. I think Keon has a better chance, so that's what we're going to do. Chop Robinson to the Bengals. At number 29, to the Detroit Lions. Luckily, they have kind of their pick at corner here. Their corner room is really desperate. I think that's kind of like cat's out of the bag with that one, with what they're going to do. We got Carlton Davis, 6'1", 206. Amik Robinson, 5'9", 183. So I honestly think if you want more of like the talent upside, you can go with a guy like a Nate Wiggins. Even though I think Corey McKinstry might be a little bit more built out and a little bit stronger, I think Nate Wiggins, just talent-wise, can be a really good corner if he puts some weight on. At number 30, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I've had them go tackle. I've had them go, edge. I am going to give them a wide receiver here. I think, honestly, pairing Troy Franklin with a Zay Flowers or a Jermaine Burton with a Zay Flowers would be nice. I think Burton's going to fall a little bit because of character issues, so I'm going to give them Troy Franklin. At number 31, we have the San Francisco 49ers. If Julian McKinstry is there, you take him. Not even a debate. At number 32, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Another pick that I was thinking possibly for the Bills, if they didn't move up, was probably Xavier Worthy. I think he's probably going to be a first-round pick this year. They need wide receiver badly. They don't know what's going on with Rashee Rice. You could go Darius Robinson. You could go Braden Fisk. I don't love the options we have here, but, I don't want to go with maybe a Ladd McConkey. Let's give him McConkey at the end of the round. So welcome to this has been Mock Draft Welcome. We already finished it. Welcome to Mock Draft Madness. Welcome again. Thank you for watching Mock Draft Madness Day 34. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know in the comments your favorite and least favorite pick from this mock draft, as well as trade scenarios. Shout out Carlos for the Cowboys trade idea. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night. We're getting so much closer to the draft.